Good morning, Voyagers! Welcome back to Coral vs. Podcast segment, What the Shell? I'm your host, Kayla, or formerly known as Mufasa, which is corny. So after some self-reflecting, I've decided on a more prominent title. The Current. It's more aquatic and I like it. This is episode 2, titled Trash Atlantis. We've all heard of the Kingdom of Atlantis, right? The Kingdom of the Sea. Jason Momoa's kingdom.
Yeah.
Anyways, forget that. Today, we're visiting a kingdom built by us. A place that should not exist. Welcome to the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. We've all seen those viral images, the ones with islands of trash, floating jugs and toothbrushes all over. Well, a lot of those images are inaccurate. Mostly Photoshop or images of actual shores of coastal cities, or just straight up AI. But if you flew a satellite over the garbage patch right now, you'd see blue. Just acres and acres of blue, almost like an empty ocean. Well, this is because the garbage patch isn't a solid island. I wish it were, because it'd be easier to clean. Instead, it's a massive collection of debris trapped in the Pacific by ocean currents. And this debris dates back to the 60s, but the garbage patch was officially discovered in 1997 by an oceanographer called Charles Moore on his trip to Hawaii. That's sad if you ask me, that it took humanity decades to realize a whole nation of trash in the ocean. And it's huge! It covers roughly 1.6 million square kilometers. That's 3 times the size of France. And there are almost 2 trillion tons of plastic floating in this specific area. And there's a similar patch right between North America and Africa. It's called the North Atlantic Garbage Patch. So you're probably wondering how we know this if satellites don't do the job. Well, oceanographers use something we call Newton nets. These are nets, mesh nets, that are attached to the back of ships to skim the surface of the ocean as they sail. They count the particles caught per square kilometer and use those samples to create heat maps of what's underneath. And small fish eat our plastic. Big fish eat the small fish, and eventually that plastic and its toxins end up on our plates at restaurants. Now let me give you news that was a shock to me. Can you imagine plastic has been found in the Mariana Trench? The deepest point on Earth that's explored. One of the most remote, inaccessible places on Earth has been affected by human pollution. Do you know how pathetic of a species we have to be to let that happen? But lucky for us, the ocean is resilient as hell, and I love it for that. So let's talk about the fight back. Apart from reef rebels, shout out to episode 1, and innovators building massive floating barriers to scoop this stuff up, it's called the ocean cleanup. Here in Nairobi and across Kenya, we have the plastic bag ban. It took effect on October 28, 2017. And now anyone who bypasses this law can face fines up to 2 million shillings or 4 years in prison. But this attempt at bettering our environment is not having the effect it should have. As in, the government is not doing everything it can. They're not setting up monitoring systems to observe the environmental benefits this ban has on Kenya. It also shows that for the past 9 years since the law was enforced, retailers and shoppers all over Nairobi and Kenya still have access to plastic bag carriers. And that's sad. It's now up to our government to do something about it. But on our end, we must know that the law can only do so much, that it's our daily choices that actually heal the land and the seas. Now here's the thing about humanity. We are so obsessed with finding life outside our planet and forgetting that maybe we haven't found life outside because we're not meant to. We spend billions sending people off the planet, leaving pollutants in the air from these rocket machines. It's time we started thinking about the planet, because it always thinks about us. How the hell do you think we survive? The oceans suck up our carbon dioxide, killing its own inhabitants. That's the sacrifice of a lifetime if you ask me. Paul Watson once said, "On land and at sea, we need volunteers who are ready to rise to this moment in history." He said that you don't wait for the sea shepherd, you become the sea shepherd. So use your law degree to sue big polluters, to attack anything and everything affecting our future. Use your architecture skills to build circular waste systems, to be a part of a movement like the ocean cleanup. Use your social media to criticize and question companies that wrap food in 3 layers of plastic. Seriously? How about we try a practice? For the next month, until the next episode, we follow the 1 in 2 out rule, where for every piece of plastic you buy, you remove 2 from the environment. It's gonna be easy, guys. We got this! And if you're not strong enough to pick up the piece of plastic, you can always call me to pick it up for you. I'm not implying anything. Okay guys, so next time you hold a piece of plastic, look at it and think about how it's going to outlive you. Think about how it's probably going to have a seat in Trash Atlantis and decide whether you're going to let it happen. So that's it for today's voyage. Share this episode and get a reusable water bottle. Stay salty, stay curious, we're only diving deeper.